Welcome to the Mortgage Loan Officer Podcast. I'm your host, Frank Garay. We're brought to you by the Mortgage Marketing Animals. I'm here with my good friend, Todd Bitter. Hi, Todd. How are you?
Good, man. Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a minute, man. I'm glad we're catching up. I can't wait to
Yeah,
figure out what's going on in your world these days.
a lot.
I know. Why don't you give us the journey? What's the journey? So you're at NEXA Lending now, but give us your, say the past few years, like what's gone on with you and how you landed here at NEXA.
Yeah, so I've been in the business for little over 30 years now, coming up on 31, and I originated up until 2022, and I did it at a pretty high level. A lot of people knew how I did it and what
Oh
I was
yeah.
doing. And around mid 21, I kind of thought, I'm not waking up in the morning excited anymore.
Hmm.
And I was doing a lot of mentoring and like off the books, not paid coaching and just helping other loan officers in the broker channel. And that really got me my juices flowing. And I like that. So I decided, in mid 22, I'm going to stop originating and I'm going to see who out there has something for me that's bigger than originating. And that's kind of had a few bigger companies offer me different things, and I ultimately went to U Mortgage with Anthony Casa.
Yeah.
We were great friends, and it just made sense at the time. And I was there up until January of this year. And the other great friend I've always had for many, many years was Mike Cordes, the CEO and founder of NEXA Lending.
Sure.
And it just seemed like at that time, nothing wrong with U Mortgage, just Mike had a lot of things going on that really, really excited me. And I don't do this for the money anymore. I do this because I love this industry.
Yeah.
And I have to, when there's something that excites me that I say, wow, this is something I can sink my teeth into and maybe create a new legacy for me besides originating. And that's kind of what drew me over to Nexus. So me and Mike sat down and within an hour worked it all out. And here I am.
There you are. Deal struck. Now you're over there at NEXA. Good to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny. That's how deals roll. That's how it was with me and Carl White too. And very similar to you. I was kind of like, man, I'm just feeling I need to do something else. And I called Carl and I called Barry Habib. And I was just like, wait, yeah, wait, and Barry's like, oh yeah, maybe. And then Carl was like, well, maybe. And then Carl called me back the next day and was like, wait a minute, man, you're talking about you want to be on the team? I was like, yeah. He goes, well, done. It's literally done.
Yeah.
Like in a 20-minute phone call. It was the
Yeah.
deal was penned and we were off to the races. So yeah, it's interesting how things can just line up like that, and just when it's the right time, it's the right time, and things fall into place
Sure.
just easy
Yeah.
peasy. So what are you doing over there at Nexa? Here's where I want to go with this. Kind of let us know what you're doing, but I know for a fact. I mean, okay, like you said, a lot of people know you, respect you. You were high producer when you were producing. You had such great content as far as how to get business in the door and the way that you conducted your business, that kind of a thing. So, and then of course you went off with you. Now you're at Nexa. I want you to tell me what you're doing over there, but I know that you're the kind of guy, Todd, that's got your finger on the pulse, right, of what's going on, especially in the broker side of things, like what's happening. I really want to get your thoughts on like, what do you think brokers are doing right today? And what do you think brokers are doing wrong today? Just in
Yeah.
your opinion. And when I say what they're doing wrong, I mean, like, how can they improve? Like maybe there's
Yeah.
some things you're seeing that if they did this, have a better experience at brokering or a
Yes.
better
Yes.
experience. You get what I mean? Something like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
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 So I'm just curious. So what are you doing at Nexa? What are people doing right? What can people be doing better in the broker channel?
Yeah, so my official title, which I'm not big on titles, me and Mike like threw a bunch of ideas together. It didn't matter, and but my official title is National Director of Sales. So I'm kind of really working with sales here at Nexa. I created an internal coaching program that they didn't really have, just to kind of keep with the mentoring stuff. And then of course I just help the company grow. I mean, I've got so many connections in the industry. I'm out there just meeting people, networking, trying to explain the why Nexa to them. I look at, and this is one of the things that really excite me. Like Nexa for years was like a company that was kind of going through school and high school. And about a year ago, I feel like they kind of like graduated and went into like postgraduate or something. Like
Hmm.
it's a really different, more grown. I don't when I say more grown up company, I don't mean to disrespect the last few years of the company.
Sure.
Just Mike at that point, the company had got so big, he's kind of like he never had C-suite. It's just Mike and his old partner who's no longer here.
Yeah.
And he finally realized like, hey, I need more than this. So he brought in some fantastic people, and Tammy Richards, who's like just an OG, that legend in the retail side of things. She's been everywhere.
Yeah.
Brought her in. brought Jerry Farr in, who was another just fantastic retail C-suite. And then we already had Jason here and a few others, but he just brought all these people around him. And now we've got this team of people that's just leading it to the next level. And I feel like it's like matured into a completely different company. And yeah, and I'm excited for it. So there's a lot going on here, a lot. And I'm kind of like, I'm like, guys, fill me in wherever you need me. Like I got my role here, but I've got tons of relationships with lenders and just, throw me here, throw me there, whatever I can do to help the company. I don't care what it is. If you need me to go mop floors, if it helps the company, I'm there. I'm that guy. Like I just love
Right.
this business. I'll do what it takes to make it work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's cool, man. So
Yeah.
so you're kind of now you're in that circle of brain trust essentially over there at
Yeah.
Nexa helping out. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate what you said there too, because I could see that as you laid it out. That was actually a pretty good analogy because Nexa came on, they had this cool system, and boy, they just went skyrocketing. And I could see how any company with that much growth that fast, you do have to evolve into that. What I mean?
Yes.
Like you do have to grow into that. And so it
Yes.
sounds like they've really done a remarkable job in that and hired some really cool
Yeah.
people, including yourself. And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so that's really neat, man.
And I think the problem is Mike was always adamant that he'll never be like the layers of management that
Yeah,
cost the rate sheet. So it
sure.
took till we got to 3,500 people to where then he could justify I could put a C-suite together of fantastic leaders and not affect the rate sheets because there is so much volume now.
Got
It
it.
works.
Makes so much sense.
So
Yeah,
yeah, so
yeah.
it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
as far
So
as like
he actually did it in a real sort of sacrificial way, if you think about it.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
oh yeah, yeah,
To make sure he could still deliver a great price,
yeah,
and then just waited till he got to the point where it's like, okay, now I can bring on the help we need and not really
yeah.
affect the bottom line to the originator. So that's pretty smart, pretty bright.
It
Yeah,
was. It was.
yeah,
I've come to know he's really forward thinking in this industry. I
yeah.
always so when Mike announced the Next I was here, he said Todd's always been like Nexa Jason. He's always been like honoring Nexa because we've been friends. I've been hanging around the Nexa guys for the last 8 years.
Yeah.
It's just I finally got here. I said, Mike, I've just been on a 7.5 year interview with you, so I've been on. But
Hilarious.
I've come to see some of the really brilliance of thinking ahead. And like, I'll tell you where I'm at right now. I'm sitting in an office. It's our developers for all the AI we're doing,
Uh-huh.
and we're building out a really, really robust AI and technology center inside our company because again, that's where this is going.
You better
And
be
when you
there.
said,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
when you said what's the broker world doing wrong and what's it doing right, I
Yeah,
mean,
let's go there.
I think it depends on the broker. I mean, I feel for the small broker. I was a small broker, for years and years and years. I was a small broker. Can I build out a robust AI company? No, I can't. I can use ChatGPT, Claude, whatever.
Yeah.
I feel for the small broker, and it's not that they're doing it wrong. It's just that
Res-
the size and the scope and the
Yeah.
resources, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I hear all the time. I mean, I've been at this is my third city, and it's only Wednesday, so it's been a week already.
Yeah.
But I hear from other guys like, hey, we don't need that. It's AI is down the road. I'm like, no, bro, AI's been here. It's been here. It's just now you're hearing more about it. And guess what? 6 months from now, it's going to be twice what it is
Oh yeah.
today. And six
Yeah.
months later, it's going to be three times what it is today. And
Yeah.
I think the small broker shops really have to make a decision like, how are they going to handle what's coming? And there's a couple ways to do that. A lot of them are starting to roll up under bigger companies, especially companies, and this isn't a plug for Nexa, but companies like ours where we allow the broker to come in and basically run their shop on our platform and keep their
Yeah.
name, their
Keep their
DBA, everything,
identity. Right. Yeah. But plug into
everything.
the powerhouse. Yeah, that's behind it. Yeah, that's always brilliant. When I was brokering, before the big crash came, back in '07, '08,
Yeah.
that's what I was doing. I was plugged into a very nice broker shop. I had my own identity, my own DBA. I was known as Green Valley Mortgage, and that's who I was.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. But so I totally get it. But I had all their back end power, all their back end resources, all that stuff. It was really a smart idea
Yeah.
in all honesty. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just I think that the small broker shops that really want to sustain this wave of technology that's coming and is already here, I think they're going to have to plug in, or they're just going to have to do it the old school way and not scale and just be happy doing,
Yeah.
doing 10 loans a month between a couple people and just
Yeah.
be like, okay, I'm living a good life and I'm happy to do this for the next 10 years.
And
And
which is, hey,
there's
nothing
nothing
wrong
wrong with
with
that.
it.
No.
Nothing wrong with it. Yeah, and plenty of people, plenty happy. But I get what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're a small shop and you do want to be able to scale and you do want to be able to plug into a really strong back end and participate in where AI is going. Because you were right. Like if you're not on top of it right now, you are just getting farther and farther behind,
Yep.
baby.
Yep.
It does make a whole lot of sense to
It
to
does.
connect. Yeah,
Yeah.
connect to a company. Hey there, if you're loving the tips so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and then click on the bell as well so you never miss out on more cool free tips coming your way. And also, would love to hear from you. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think or what you want to see next. So what anything else you see that like because I know that you're definitely part of the operations over there at Next, big operations like, there's a lot going on over there.
Yeah.
Like, do you see anything recurring, Todd, that's like, man, brokers, that we're at Nexa, like you have to coach your guys a little bit on like, hey guys, be sure to do this right, or be sure to do this better, or do that better.
It
That
is.
could spill over to the brokers that are not part of Nexa. Like, is there anything that comes up that you can think of that's like,
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you go to a lot of events. I do too. I go to every conference that there's a couple hundred people. So I'm always on the road. We hear so much about AI, and it's good we're hearing about it because it's here and it's going to change things. But I think so many, especially the younger brokers, and when I say younger, like the under 40 crowd that
yeah,
is coming up,
that is younger.
I think they get too focused on it. It's like you have the older crowd that thinks it's not going to be effective or it's not going to change things. And you got
Mm,
the younger crowd that knows it's changing things, but then they lose sight of the old school ways. And I think
mm,
that we still have to focus on the fundamentals. I mean, I just did a class for my people about calendars. And they looked at me like, I think they looked at me a little crazy when I said, today's hour is going to be about your calendar. And I think they thought, what are we going to talk about our calendars? It's calendar. And come to find out, I knew it. I knew what was going to happen if I hadn't shared their screens was most of those calendars are full of blank spots.
yeah,
And it's
nothing.
like, what do you do during that time? Well, no, that's the time when I take calls and I do this. I'm okay. Well, that makes no sense. I mean, you've got 4 hours of blank time because you're going to do 18 different things. You better fill those in 15 or 20 or 30-minute increments of what
Yeah,
you're going to do. And it's just that old fundamentals. It's just fundamentals that a lot of these younger brokers and even older ones that just get away from.
mm,
And I mean, I'm sorry, I was a master. I think if I can say there's one thing I was a master at, it was mastering my time. I mean, for those that don't know me, I was closing 350, 3 to 350, depending on the year,
yeah,
loans.
yeah,
No LOA, no self-processed,
right.
everything by myself. On any
Imagine
given
that.
day,
I mean,
I'm
imagine
sitting
that.
around. Yeah,
You
yeah.
got to be organized time wise to be able to do that.
Exactly. And I think if anybody said, what's your master? What's the one thing you've mastered? I said, time blocking and managing my time. I'm good at a
Huh.
lot of other things, but I was great at that. And I had to be. And I think if I can I told my people, I said, look, if I can get you guys to learn how to use your calendar to its potential, you're going to take your income up 20, 30, 40%.
Mm,
Because most of them I looked at their calendars. It was worse than I thought.
mm.
So some of them had it good though. But I think just the brokers now, they have to get back to the basics. You still got to answer your phone or be communicative. Not everything's on the phone these days like it was when I was doing loans.
Right, right.
But if a text comes in, get back to them quickly or have it automated to let them know you're in a meeting and you'll call them back in 15 minutes. I mean, you can't just not communicate. Realtors hate that. Now,
Yeah.
realtors are some of the worst people with answering their
Oh,
phones,
sure. Yeah. They can be virtually horrible. Yeah,
but
indeed.
then they're the first ones to complain about us if we
Indeed.
don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And is it fair? No, it's not fair. But is it the way it is? It's the way it is.
Mm,
So I think I think right now I'm really pushing the basics. I'm not teaching an old dog new tricks. I'm just saying, hey, let's master the things that never are going to change,
yeah.
and that is communication, mastering your time, and just staying on top of things.
Awesome.
Constantly reading the guidelines, knowing what's coming down the pike.
Yeah. Yeah. That is awesome, dude. So before we head out, the calendar. Is there, do you have like a lot of guys will say, from this time to this time on these days, I focus on this time to that time, I focus on that. Do you kind of have a brush stroke that you could give the listeners, viewers, just to, and I know it gets granular and everybody has their own ways, but in generally
Yeah.
speaking, do you have kind of like a brush stroke week,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Monday is reach out to realtor days. It's not the realtors that are loyal to you. It's new realtors or realtors you kind of got relationships, but you need built. You should be making 20, 25 calls on Mondays to realtors.
Okay.
Tuesday is status update day. That's where any loan that's in working, not pre-approvals, but loans are actually real loans are in process. That's where you reach out to the buyer, check in with them, check in with the buyer's agent. And lastly, most importantly, you check in with the listing agent that we as our industry typically ignore.
Right.
But when I was originating, somewhere around 80% of all the realtors that were loyal to me, I met as a listing agent.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to me, that's the most loyal thing, and most listing agents don't get updated. So I say, status update day is very important.
Yeah.
Wednesday is simply database day, which again is extremely important because the most valuable thing we own is our database,
Right. Yeah.
So I always teach them the ABCs. Every week you call the A's, then the B's, then the C's, and you just go through it. You'll churn your database either twice a year or 4 times a year if you can do 2 letters a week or 1 letter. Thursday is pre-approval day. That's where you go through all your pre-approvals. Make sure you're engaged with them because sometimes it takes 3 months for them to find a house. And guess what? If you're not on top of them, they forget about you and they go to the next ad they see on Facebook. And then Fridays, there's what we call VIP days. That's where you're calling family, friends, financial planners, insurance agents, title companies. I always use my title companies to get business because they hear from the realtors who they're mad at.
Indeed.
And title companies can refer you business and say, hey, Kim over here hates the guy at XYZ Mortgage. You might call her. Yeah.
It's true, man. Well, guys that have been around for a really, really long time, like you and I, yeah, we know that stuff. And but you're right, and you're not inventing anything new here. This is just good basic stuff. Hey, honestly, what you laid out is pretty much identical to what Mortgage Marketing Animals teaches as well. Why? Because it works, right? And we have a saying. The saying is, well, it only works all the time. So and it's totally true. Well, that's so cool, man. Good stuff, and thank you for that. Yeah, I think we'll get a lot out of that
from you guys. I probably stole it from you guys years ago and forgot where I got it from.
Well, I think it's what it really comes down to is I think for the most part, a lot of originators already know what to do. They already know the categories. They already know those things. Where it becomes I'm sure you're so useful to NEXA and their team is that sometimes you just need to be accountable to somebody. You have to be reminded of these things. You have to, and then at some point, if you're sitting around staring at your email all day and realizing you don't have a loan that's going to fund in the next couple of weeks, you have to say, maybe I should start doing those things that I know, right? And trying to master them and try and get very, very good at them. And so I appreciate what you said. You're laying out the prospecting piece, but to process 300 deals in a year, that's probably a couple hours a day, Monday through Friday, right? Then the rest of the day, then the rest of the day, each day though, that's where you're also making sure you're spending the proper time on the proper items, that kind of a thing, to make sure that you can get things done in an efficient way. And I know you've got that all laid out, but we won't get into that today. We'll get into that another time.
I was just going to say, one of the things I've been telling the Nexus too is, and anybody will listen, I got a lot of accolades for how I did it, right? A lot of people are like, oh my God, this guy does this with no help. I tell everybody, look, back then I thought it was cool. I've gotten away from it far enough now. I might have been winning in the income brackets and everything else. I was failing myself miserably by not scaling. I would have been doing 600 or 700 loans a year had I just hired and trusted other people and quit being a damn control freak.
Good call.
There was not enough hours in the day to do what I was doing. I was literally passing on business.
One thing Carl always says, he's a big proponent of that, like finding help as soon as you can so you can scale, right? Another phrase he has is, I'd rather have a slice, just a slice of a watermelon than 100% of a grape, right? And then the other thing too that he always says is, it is hard for us as professionals to give up control because we have our ways. We know what needs to be done. It's hard to give up control. And one thing that he always brought up is he's like, look, man, as long as I can find somebody that can do whatever they're going to do for me 80% as good as me, right? That's good enough, right? Because
That's it.
we can coach and train them to be better, but at 80%, I'm still going to do better if I have the help than if I didn't. So
Absolutely.
that's a revelation to come to for you.
Well, here's the thing. When you get to 5 loans, you better hire your first LOA. When you're
Mm,
consistently at 5 loans. And
mm.
here's the problem. I realized I had a problem when I got to 15 to 18 loans. But guess what? It was too late. I always tell people, you ever see a hamster that's running at 100 miles an hour
Yeah.
on their hamster wheel? Guess what happens when they stop? They go flying upside
Yeah.
down and they hit the wall in a
Right.
cage.
Right.
That was me. I was going so fast and so hard. I knew I was in trouble.
Yeah.
I just couldn't stop to
How could
hire
you
or train.
stop to hire or train somebody because you can't?
No,
You're on this
no,
freight train. You know what I mean? Yeah. What a trip. Well, now you know. Now you can coach to it. So that's
that's
cool.
it. That's it.
Awesome stuff, brother. Appreciate you so much, man. Thanks
Yeah, man.
for stopping by, and let's do it again, man. Let's stay connected. Always
Yeah.
curious to hear what's going on with you guys and with you and all that. And why not? Right? Why not shoot the breeze
Like I
once in a
said,
while?
it's been too long.
It has been, yeah, it has been. But hey, we're both here at a part in our careers where now we can take the time to hang out a little bit, so it's all good.
That's it, brother. Thank you.
Hey, man, thanks for joining us, Todd Bitter. I appreciate you, man, very, very much. And if people want to reach out to you, what's the best way to reach you?
Todd at nexalending.com
There you go.
or I'm everywhere on Facebook and social media.
Yeah,
So
you're not.
one.
Yeah, you're pretty easy to find. Right. Yeah, you're pretty
much.
easy to find. So great. If you guys want to connect with Todd, feel free. Todd at nexalending.com. And then join us here at the Mortgage Loan Officer Podcast. We appreciate that. Subscribe, forward, and share. And then also don't forget to join me every Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Time for free coaching with the mortgage marketing animals at loanofficerbreakfastclub.com. Loanofficerbreakfastclub.com. You guys have a great one. We'll catch up with you later. Thanks, Todd.
Thanks.